YouTube? Plumpy here. Just doing another little video. Today I just thought I'd show you guys how I do process some of my brass. Picked up some brass over the past couple days. Talked to a guy online. I posted it on Arms List and a couple places here in Indiana, like websites and stuff, telling people I needed brass or but I wanted some 223 brass. And the guy got a hold of me and got me a real good deal on around 400 rounds of empty brass. As you can see, I already ran it through the tumbler. Got it shining up, looking pretty good. This is not quite all of it. This is the rest of it here, and just going to show you how I usually do the case lube and stuff on it. As you can see, I made up some case lube. You can check out one of my older videos to show you how I do the case lube stuff. But stuff works good. I made up a bottle of it. It works fine just every time. But what I do is I take about usually about this many cases in a bag, just a regular old 1 gallon baggie, and to save time and effort, and it always works just fine for me. What I'll do is I'll just take it and I'll open up the bag and I'll point the nozzle down in there and just spray about 5 spritzes, maybe 6, doesn't really matter, and then I'll squeeze out most of the air, but not all of it, and then just go to town, rubbing it all over all the cases. And what this is, basically what this case lube is lanolin and, well, 100% isopropyl alcohol. And what I use for that is the Heat in the red bottle. I actually contacted Heat themselves and asked them what the ingredients were, and they said it's 99.5% pure isopropyl alcohol, and the other 0.5% is something just additive. So basically what I do is I put it in the bag, rub it around like this for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then after I know I got all of them rubbed down pretty good, and you can just keep reusing it in this bag. Like once I get these out, what I'm going to do is I got an old tray that I set over. I put paper towels down, lay them out on it, and the isopropyl alcohol dries off real fast, like within a few minutes, and then all it leaves is the lanolin lube on it, and it works fine in my RCBS press, the rock chucker. Just resize and knock out the primer, Deprime, resize, all in one step. Seems to work very well, but honestly it saves you a little time and keeps your hand a little cleaner. And basically all I'm going to do now, like I said, is I'm going to take this, set it on my tray here with some paper towels laid out, and let it dry in the air for a few minutes, and then I'm going to run it through the press, and hopefully you'll get to see that. Thanks. But yeah, here you go. Once you get it all worked up and get it all covered, what I do then, basically save this bag, because it is, like I said, you can just keep doing it. I'm going to do it to the rest of that. I got a tray here. I'm going to show you. What I do is I just dump it all out. It's an old food tray that we've had around here for a while. Said save this bag, roll them out by hand, and let them set flat. Don't leave them stacked on each other. What I do, and this is the tray right here. Hopefully you can see that just fine. But that's it. It's just a regular lunch tray. I let them sit on this paper towel for about 5 minutes with a fan on them. The isopropyl will dry off, the lanolin will stay, and then I'll get to show you next step on the press over here. So that's the step. I'm going to do this many, and I'm going to get, when I start doing these after this dries off, I'm going to get another batch going in the bag. That way I can just keep, once these are all done, resized and deprimed, I'll have these, another batch done, and I'll just keep repeating the process. But I'll let you guys see here in a minute how I do it. Pretty simple, like I said, and just make you up some your own case lube and go from there. It's pretty simple. Alright, hopefully you can see this alright. Go ahead and show you. Go ahead and take one of the cases. kind of got the camera set up a little weird, but that's one of the cases. As you can see, still had the old primer in it. What you want to do to set this up is you take your decapping resizing die, you lower the press all the way down, which raises the press up. You screw the die down until it touches the shell holder, and then you lock it down from there, and then you lower the prime arm. I know you can't see it, but I'll back it up. And then what you do is you take the case, put it in the shell holder, raise the ram up. As you can hear, the primer pops out, and that's how you do her. As you can see, it knocks the primer out, and then it resizes the entire piece of brass, ready up for once that happens. You can run it more than once, I guess, if you want. There's really, I don't know if there's a need to or not. Sometimes I do. But you just run it up there, and then you back it off, and you're ready to go. That's how it works. It's been full length resized. Knocked the primer out. Now what I got to do is clean out the primer pockets. I don't know if you can see that there's dirt and stuff in there. Not too bad, but you want to clean those out. And basically this is ready to be trimmed. Make sure it's measured right, and go from there. I'll go ahead and do a couple more just to show you on camera. But put it in there, lower the arm down, and hear the primer fall. And that's it. It's been full length resized. Again, primer knocked out. And just keep going like that. That's how you do it. And the reason I got this piece of paper in here, because it holds the primer holder. This catches the spent primers, this plastic piece. And the farther this is pushed out, the better it works, because if it's just saying they're loose, they kind of fall out sometimes. I got this in there because that keeps them all falling down in these little pockets down here. I'll go ahead and do one more. You just throw it in there, crank it down, you can hear the primer fall. Back it out. There you go. You see it knock the primer out, and it full length resized it. But yeah, that's it. Got to clean these out, trim them up, make sure they're measured. Here's another little angle. Hopefully you can see it. You just place the brass on there, run it up, drop the primer all the way down, bust it out, knocks the primer out. Just keep repeating that process. Case lube works just fine. No problems with it. It's cheaper than going and buying some case lube. You can just make it up yourself. It's 10 times cheaper. But that's it. Each time I run this press arm down, I'm basically decapping it, resizing the neck, resizing the inside of the brass, popping it back out, knocking it out, and that piece is done. And one quick step that I forgot to mention: after you case lube them up, deprime and resize them, you want to clean the primer pockets with a small primer pocket tool, and you definitely want to throw them back in the tumbler and get all that oil and stuff off of them, and the lanolin oil and stuff like that. Get that off there and get them all. It'll help clean out the primer pockets a little more too. So that's one step I forgot. Make sure that you always throw it in the thing after you deprime and resize it. One more thing I was going to show you about the brass. What's weird, as I'll go ahead and show you, that's PMC brass right here. Hopefully that'll show up for you. But if that shows up right, you can look in the bottom and see that there's no crimp. And most people say you don't have to mess with crimps when you're doing with T23. I'll go ahead and show you this one. This is a PMC. Same brand, same everything, but it's been sealed primer. It's got the red seal around it, and if you can see, there's a crimp in there around the end, that inside ring that this one doesn't have. The other one didn't have. A lot of these have that, which is weird. I'll go ahead and show you these two. That's FC brass. I'm thinking Federal, but it's got a crimp in it too. It's 22. You can see, as if you can look up close, 223 Remington. It says it right on the case, but it's actually got a factory crimp in it. So doesn't this one, FC brass. So I'm gonna have to remove those later, but a lot of people told me that if you mess with 223 brass, you don't have to worry about a crimp. Well, that's a myth, because I'm just showing you. Yeah, go ahead and show you one more thing. These are the 223 brass that's got the crimps in them. We're just going to do a couple of them on camera here for you. But basically what you do is, like I said, they got a crimp which holds the primer inside there. They do that from the factory. A lot of almost all military brass has it. And real quick and easy way to get rid of it. What this is, my drill basically, but this is a 3/8 countersink bit. You can pick one up at the hardware for a couple bucks. And what you do, you just set it on low speed or whatever, set it right in the center, and let her fly. You don't want to take out too much at all, just enough to remove that crimp, and hopefully that'll show up on there. There used to be a big crimp at the end of it. Hopefully you can see that. We'll go ahead and do one more. And it just, basically, if you can see it, it kind of like concaves it in there and just takes that crimp right out. Hopefully that'll show up right, and you can see it on camera. I don't know if you can or not, but basically you just got to do that to all the ones that's got a crimp. That way the primer will actually sit in there and just seat right without having to mess with it, have any problems or anything like that. But that's how you do it. Just a 3/8 inch countersink bit, a couple seconds. You can buy a big swage machine or something for a couple $100, but you can buy this for like $2. Slap it in your drill. That's all you gotta do, and you're done. Hopefully that shows up all right. You can see it. I'm hoping. But anyway, you can see it takes the crimp out, and now the primers will seat in there pretty easy and effectively. There you go.